What's going on, guys? So in this video I'm going to do a quick example of how to use sets as values in a hash map. So I've constructed a set in map icon down here which holds a class, so I'm just going to write the class now that will hold this example. So public class set in map curly braces. Okay, and let's do a constructor set in map. We don't want any arguments, so let's leave those blank, and let's do a field. First off, by the way, guys, you have to import java.util.hashmap to use a hash map. All maps are very similar, so if you know how to use one, you know how to use all of them. So java.util.hashset. There we go. Okay, so let's declare two fields in our class. So first of all, let's declare HashMap, and we want the key value to be something simple because that doesn't really matter in this example. So let's make it integers. So I'll just type in the integer wrapper class there, which is able to be stored in collections. It just makes primitive values into objects. Every primitive class has one, or primitive type, should I say. Okay, so in the values entry, the values argument, let's put a hash map that holds strings. Okay, and let's call this office occupants. This is a pretty good example on the way to learn how to use this. So in a constructor, let's initialize our hash map. Office occupants equals new hash map. Okay, so first of all we need to add some entries to our hash map. So let's create a method. Let's make the return type void, and let's call it create offices. Okay, so in this method we'll add the key values to the map along with a blank hash set for each entry. So let's say for int I, let's have offices starting from number 1, and let's have 5 offices. So let's say continue whilst I is less than or equal to 5. So that will iterate through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I++, go up by 1 on each iteration. So in our office occupants map, office pants, that's not how it's spelt. I need my English teacher. Office occupants. Okay, let's use the put method, which adds a key value pair to a map. So as our keys, we can use anything, but let's use I. So our keys are integers. They could be any type, really, though. So apart from some collections, anything not mutable. Anything immutable can be a key. Okay, so as our values, let's create a new hash set for each value that holds strings, as that is what we want and that is what we declared here. So we have to write new here because it's a new hash map. And so office occupants dot put I as the key, new hash set string. What am I missing here? Oh, there we go. I always miss the brackets. Okay, so we've created this. So let's create a method now called public void print offices. Okay, and for this method, let's iterate through each key in our office occupant set. So each type will be an integer and each key is an office, so let's call the local variable an office, and we want the key set, which is every key of our map. So we want to iterate through office occupants, and to get all the keys, to generate a collection of all keys in our map, we have to call the method keySet. There we go. So now we've got a for loop iterating through each key. So let's print out each key so you can see what's going on. Print an office. Okay, so let's compile our class. Let's create a new set in map. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay, so let's call the create offices. So we've called the create offices method, and let's see what offices have been created. So we've created offices 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and those are the keys of our map. So next of all we need to have a way to assign values to those keys, and let's say the values are employees. So let's say each employee has a name. So let's call this method add employee. Okay, and let's put a few lines down here so this stays in the middle. And to add an employee, we need to know which office to add them to. So let's put the first argument as an office, and let's put the second argument as a name, which is the employee's name. Okay, so to retrieve a set from one of our map entries, we need to first of all write down the name, that is the variable that holds a reference to the map, dot get, so to get an entry from our map, and we want to get the value at an office. So if we type 2, we'd get the value at 2. So what this will return to us, this piece of code here, office occupants dot get 2, is the value at this key value entry 2. So now we've got the hash set that's held in that value, which is an empty hash set of type string. We need to add a value to it. So let's say dot add, as that's a hash set method, and let's say we want to add the employee name, which is a name. Okay, so we've done that, so that should add an employee to one of the offices. So let's make a method now that will print out all of the office numbers and also the employees who are in that office. So print office and employees. We don't want any arguments because we want to print the whole collection. So let's say for integer, each key is an office number. So let's say an office in office occupants dot key set. So we're getting a collection of all the keys by dot key set, and we're iterating through those. So okay, let's print each office number and each employee. So to get the office number, we simply have to print an office, because that's the integer, which is the key that's held in the key entry value. Okay, or key value entry, should I say. So system dot out dot print line, and let's say office number, and then we'll tag on to the end of that the office number, concatenate. So the office number is an office. There we go. So on each iteration, printing the office number, and then we're printing a line. So now we need to print each employee that's in that office. So to get the employees, we need to another print statement to print out their names, and we need to know which office we want to get the employees from. So office occupants dot get, so we want all the employees in office number and office. Then we need to get the hash set at that office. So okay, excuse me guys, we've got to put this in a loop. So so each entry in each office is a string. So, and each entry is also an employee. So office occupants, so we've got the key. So on each key we need to iterate through the value associated with that key. So the key is held in an office. So let's say .get an office. So this will return the set held in office occupants at key and office. So let's make another loop, an inner loop. What have I done wrong here? Oh, missed the bracket again. There we go. Office, I missed the U. Office occupants. Okay, so now we need to print each employee name. So system.out.println. So let's print an employee, and let's put a space after their names, and let's remove the print line so we can print them all on separate lines. And let's put a print line after this to separate the separate offices, just to make it clearer to see. Okay, so that's compiled correctly, so let's see if this works. So let's create a new setting map object. Let's create the offices. Let's check which offices we've created. So print offices, we've created offices 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So let's add an employee. Well, let's first of all, let's print the offices and the employees. So as you can see, each office is completely empty at the moment. So let's try adding some employees to them. So add employee to office 3, and let's add Bob. Okay, and let's call our add employee method again and add an employee to office 3 again, and this can be Tracy. And let's add another employee to office 1, and they can be called Helen. And let's go for one more to office 4, and they could be called Troy. Okay, so let's print our employees in their offices. There we go, guys. So something's gone wrong here. Bob, Tracy, Helen and Troy are all in office number 2. That should not be happening. So there it is. I did not put an office in the get method for add employee, so it was just adding them all to 2. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, so create offices, add employee, office 2, let's add Bob. Office 3, let's add Helen. Office 3 again, let's add Troy. And office 4, let's add Bobby. Okay, so let's print off our employees in their offices. There we go, guys. So we've got no one in office number 1, Bob in office number 2, Helen and Troy in office number 3, and Bobby in office number 4. So that's it, guys. That's all there is to storing sets in maps. So just remember .get, .put and .keyset for map, and .add for sets. And that's all you need to do, really. That's pretty easy, so hopefully everything will go okay. So hopefully this video helped you. So don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and take it easy, guys.